Let her rip.
Hey Doug,
Yeah?
would you mind turning that off? I'm kinda having a hard day here.
Whatever, man.
Whatever. Sorry, I ran out of coffee.
Damn.
Yeah. Hey guys, welcome to Film Learnin, the show dedicated to learning you some filmmaking and to learn you good. And let's face it, if you've seen the teaser, you know what we're doing. This is a really long tutorial, so I'm just going to shut up and let's get to it. In order to complete this effect, you need to just shoot your actor doing their best. Rah! That's it. You also need to head to filmlearnin.com and grab the Venom transformation pack, which contains our vein still, our Venom animation featuring Hero Golem 3D's awesome Venom model. You can check out his DeviantArt, his Instagram and his Twitter down in the description. And it also contains our sound effect. Now, you got all that? Well, let's get to work, shall we? Okay guys, here we are in After Effects, and I just want to point out that this episode has a lot of steps. So strap yourselves in. It's not hard, but it is long. Wait, what? Never mind. As you can see, I have my shots set up in a comp and ready to go. If we check out a preview, you can see it's just me looking down, and then I jump up with a bit of a roar with some crazy eyes. Now the first thing I'm going to do is head over to the project window, and I'm going to duplicate this comp. Now I'll explain why we did that a little later. Let's focus on our first comp here for now, and get started with removing both the eyes and the mouth. To do this, I'm going to be using Mocha Pro 2019 from Boris Effects by heading to Presets, typing in Mocha, and dropping that on my footage like so. Now for those of you without Mocha Pro, you can totally still use Mocha AE to do this by selecting your clip, heading to Animation, and clicking Track in Mocha AE. That'll open up Mocha and you'll be good to go. Me on the other hand, I'm going to click the Mocha logo here to launch Mocha right now, and I'll be right with you. Okay gang, so here we are in Mocha, and I'm just going to change this to classic view so that it looks like the same as most of your interfaces will as well. Mocha 29's been revamped and streamlined, but you can still access the classic mode by clicking this one right here. So our first step here is to head to the end of the shot where our mouth is all big and wide and the majority of our movement is finished. Tracking backwards from this point will make our track go a lot smoother. So let's head up here and grab the X-Spline tool, and we'll draw a mask around our mouth like so. Now gang, get as detailed as you want here, but do keep in mind that if you have to adjust this mask after the track, the more points you have, the more adjusting you'll have to do. Okay, so my spline is drawn. The last thing I'm going to do is hit Ctrl A to select all of the points on my spline and bring them in a little using this handle. This will smooth the mask out a little. See? Nice. Next, let's head down to our settings and bust the percentage up to 90% and turn off perspective. Let's now hit the track backwards button. Okay, now I've run into a little problem just at the end here. The last few frames have dropped the track, and that's just down to a rather dramatic perspective change with me moving my head down. So firstly, I'm going to head to the last frame of our tracking, right here, and I'll just adjust the mask to once again follow the footage and just to adjust the points. This can happen sometimes gang, and it's not hard to fix either. As you can see, I've already done it. From there, I'm just going to scrub through the rest of the footage and make sure my mask remains on point, and any frames where the mask shifts, I'll just adjust those points like so. There we are. They were only subtle adjustments gang, but it is important to do them. Mocha does a great job tracking, but it's up to you to keep the nuance in your mask. Okay, so our mouth layer is done for now. We can now move on and track our eyes as well. But before we do that, let's just head up and name this one Mouth. That way we won't get confused with our shape layers. We'll start with the right eye. Same method gang, head to the last frame of the video, draw the mask and track backwards. Adjust if you need to, and then we'll repeat this once more for the other eye. Okay, that's all done. Now guys, I'm going to do one more track though, and this one's just to track the face itself.
So let's grab our spline tool once more, head to the last frame, and we'll draw a big mask all the way around my big face, giving Mocha as much information as we can. We'll then track backwards. Done. Let's then rename that one Face. Okay, so our first round of tracking is done, gang. Now, since many of you might not be working in After Effects 2019 with Mocha 2019, I'm just going to use the old school export approach on this shot. So let's select our face track. We'll then head down to export tracking data, and then we'll select transform data and click copy to clipboard. Let's save our project and head back to After Effects. Back in After Effects, and let's add a new null object and let's name it track. Making sure we're on the first frame of our comp, let's hit Ctrl V to paste our tracking data onto this null. This data will help us animate our teeth and eyes, gang. Okay, so now that we've got that done, let's head back to Mocha now and grab our shape data. With Mocha open, let's select each of our layers and we're going to soften them a touch with some feathering. Let's start with the mouth. I'll just head over to this U button and then click that, and then I'll head over to our edge controls and type in a feather of say 10. You can now see that it's created some feathering around the mouth, and that'll be much more visible once the shape data is pasted onto our footage in After Effects. We'll repeat this for both eye layers as well. Now let's select all three layers right here, save for our face track, and then we're going to click export shape data. Make sure you have all selected layers selected, and then we're going to hit copy to clipboard. Let's head back to After Effects after saving, of course. Back in After Effects, we're going to select our footage, make sure we're on the first frame, and hit paste. Bam! Our eyes and our mouth have vanished and it looks super creepy. How about we just call it a day here, gang? Job done, right? No? Okay. Now obviously this isn't the look we're going for, and all we need to do to fix this is just change them from multiply to subtract, and bam, here we are. That's not any better, that's still really creepy. Let's move on, shall we? So this is where the fun starts, gang. Let's grab our Venom model from the download pack that I've already imported and drop that in on top of everything. Let's then hit T and drop the opacity down. Now guys, we can now see our face below, and we can scale, position, and rotate our Venom teeth to fit in our mouth like so. Once you're happy, we'll turn the opacity back up. We'll then grab the pen tool and mask over the mouth like so. We'll then drop that layer below our footage, and then we're going to parent that Venom layer to our null object like so. And of course turn on motion blur for the comp and both layers. You can now see that our Venom teeth are nicely tracked into our mouth complete with motion blur. Now gang, if you feel the need to readjust the position or the scale, it's super easy as all of our position animation is coming from the null. But I'm happy with this, so let's stick with it. Now gang, our next step is to better blend these teeth into my shot, because at the moment they look super weird in both color and depth wise. So here's how we do that. Firstly, we need to color correct them. Now for this I used Colorista 4 from Magic Board. Now guys, this is a paid plugin, but you can use any coloring plugin to achieve the same result. If I turn this on and off, you can see what changes I've made to better blend the teeth into the mouth. Have a play and find the right balance for color in your shot, and take your time here to get it right. Once you're done, let's move on to the eyes. Now believe it or not, I never altered the shape or size of my eyes for this effect. I just bug-eyed out. There's no need to do it if you get your actor to do it right. So let's add those eyes. Let's head to the end of the comp once more. We'll then head over to the project window and grab the still called eyes. Now guys, once again, this is Hero Golem 3D's Venom model, and I just used some of his awesome rigging to give Venom some bug eyes. Now compositing them into your face is pretty much the same as before, gang. The only difference being that you need to do one eye at a time. So we'll drop the still in, lower the opacity, play around with the position, scale, and rotation until you're happy, and then we'll then mask out the single eye, bring up the opacity, drop it below our footage, and of course, parent it to the null and turn on motion blur. We'll then repeat this for the other eye. Now guys, feel free to do the same coloring to blend the eyes, or don't and make them pop. Dealer's choice here. The last step with our eyes and mouth is to add a little bit of depth to sell them a bit better. To do this, let's select our active footage, head to Effect, Perspective, and grab Drop Shadow. Now we want to adjust the direction down and up the softness a touch like so. You can already see this casts a bit of a shadow over our teeth and eyes. That looks pretty cool. Now let's duplicate that effect, only this time we're going to turn the direction up. We now have a complete shadow around our masked areas, creating a bit of interactive depth on our compositive teeth and eyes. So if we now check out a preview, we have our eyes and mouth all tracked in and blended. Pretty easy, huh? Our next step is adding some veins to our shot, and this part, I gotta admit, is a bit tedious, but it's worth the effort. Let's start with the eyes, and this is where our vein still over here comes into play. Let's grab that and drop it into our comp. Now I'm gonna scale it down a little and move it around, and basically guys, the idea here is to position it into place where it'll look the most effective on the eye area, and then we'll section it off into parts, into individual masks. So, say I really like this part right here. Let's grab the pen tool and mask out that particular area. Hit F and add a little bit of feathering like so. We can then duplicate that vein layer, delete the mask, and then start repositioning and moving it around until we're happy once more, and then section that one off with a mask as well. Feather it out, and just keep doing this until you have the entire eye covered like I have here, or you can just drop it in once and just mask out around your eye. Up to you guys. Now it's time to composite those all together. So, firstly we need to duplicate our null and our active footage. Then we're going to grab all of our vein layers and pre-compose them and name them Vein 1. We'll then grab Vein 1, the active footage, and the null. Let's right click and pre-compose them, and we'll call this Eye 1. Once we open up that comp, we'll then parent our vein pre-comp to our null and turn on motion blur for the comp and the layer once more. Now here's where we add a little movie magic, guys. Let's select our footage layer. We'll then delete the face and right eye masks here. Then, selecting the left eye mask, we'll check invert. Now we just have an eyeball. So how does that help us? Well, if we drop our vein pre-comp under our footage and change the track matte to alpha inverted, you can see we just used that eyeball to cut the eye shape out of our eye layer, and it's all animated and working. How easy was that? Now to finish this off, we need to animate a mask expansion to have those veins grow out of our eyes. To do that is pretty easy, guys. Let's select our vein pre-comp, grab the pen tool, and draw a mask inside our eye like so. Let's then hit F and feather that out around 19 pixels or so. We'll then hit MM and collapse down the mask menu. We'll hit the stopwatch on mask expansion. We'll move ahead, say 10 frames, and we'll expand that out to reveal our full eye vein layer. If we head back to our final shot and change the transfer mode to soft light and check out a preview, you can see our tracked veins now grow out of our eyeball. Cool, huh? We can then rinse and repeat this process for the right eye, which I will do while this burp sound effect plays. Alrighty, all done. We now have those sweet veins animating outwards on both of our eyes as our actor roars. Now gang, the final step here we have is to add some animated veins to our face and neck. And this is where our second comp that we haven't touched yet comes into play. So let's open that up, select the footage layer, and then we're going to head up to Effect and grab Mocha. As I said guys, this is Mocha 2019, so if you have a lower version, you'll still need to go to Animate and track in Mocha AE, but for me, I'm going to launch it right here. Now that we're in Mocha, I'm going to track certain parts of the face, and then we'll use that tracking data to stick the veins to our face. So in my case, I'm only wanting to add 2 veins to either side of my face and 1 on my neck. Naturally, I gotta track those areas. I'm going to head to the end of my video, grab the X-Spline tool, and from there I'm going to draw a spline around my neck area right here. Done. Let's then hit the button right here. That'll spread the corner pins out to the entire video size, which is important as we don't want our scale limited to this area of the neck. I'll then turn it up to 90%. Let's then track backwards now. good. I'm happy with that track, but just to be sure, I'm just going to do some quick adjustments to a couple of these frames. There we go. So let's head up and rename that neck. Next we'll do this left cheek. Same thing, head to the end of the video, draw the spline like so. Hit the corner pin button, and then we'll hit the track button like so. Done. That sticks pretty well. I'll then head up and rename that one left cheek. Finally guys, I'll do the right cheek as well. Now gang, you can essentially track any part of your face that you'd like a vein stuck to. The sky's the limit, but honestly, in this particular effect, less is more. Okay, so we've got all of our data. So let's save right here and head back to After Effects, as I want to show you how much cooler the new Mocha is. So here we are back in After Effects and we've got our comp ready to go. And the cool thing is, Mocha 2019 has all of our tracking data stored natively in After Effects. We no longer need to switch back and forth between Mocha and After Effects or copy any clipboard data. I'll show you. Let's grab a copy of our veins from the project menu, and from there we'll do, say, the neck. Let's position them into place, rotate, scale, all that stuff, just like we did with the eyes, and there we go, that looks pretty good. We'll then mask out an area where I want the veins to be. Done. We'll then hit F and feather it out, say 30 pixels or so. From there, we need this to be the same size as our comp before we can add our corner pin data. To do that, we gotta pre-compose it, and then we'll say call this one neck. Now we can add our tracking data. Let's select our footage layer and click Create Track Data. From the menu, we'll select neck and hit OK. On the export option, we want to select corner pin data supports motion blur. Next, we want to select our export source. In this case, our neck pre-comp, and then we'll hit Apply Export. We now have our tracking data applied to our neck vein, gang. Now we can just adjust it, which is super easy. If we open up the neck pre-comp, you can see it's simply a mask still. We can add effects on top of this without losing any of our tracking data. So say I want to shift this vein layer up a bit, like so. When I head back to the shot, it auto updates and all of our tracking animation is still in place. It's non-destructive editing. So let's keep adjusting. I think I'm going to add a liquefy effect and warp these veins to better contour to my neck. No need to worry about the liquefy drifting or moving off during movement now, and I love that so much. Now last step with the neck gang is animating them on so they shoot up my neck when I roar. To do that, I'm going to draw a second mask around the bottom of my veins, and I'll set that to intersect. What this does is only reveal what my second mask moves over. Cool, huh? So let's animate that reveal by hitting the stopwatch on mask path, moving forward say 20 frames and shifting it up so that covers the entire mask. Now you can get all crazy with the mask shape, but for the sake of time, I'm doing a simple shape. Let's hit F and feather it out the same 30 pixels. If we head back, you can see the veins stick to my neck and they animate upwards like they're shifting up my neck. If you want a rough idea of how the veins are going to look in our final shot, I just highly recommend changing the transfer mode to soft light, because that's going to be the transfer mode we are going to be using in our final shot. You can see that once I do that, the veins blend so much better. Now guys, since the process of adding the veins is no different from the neck to the eyes, I'm going to skip ahead to the next part where I've got both veins that I'm sticking to my eyes all pre-comped and ready to go. So the only difference this time around, gang, is when I add my tracking data. When I click Create Tracking, I'll select left cheek and I'll set the eye pre-comp as the export point. I'll hit Export, bam! Tracking is now on that vein. I'll then follow that up with some adjustments and the same animation masks as our neck layer. Quick tip too, gang, if you want the veins to stand out more, I highly recommend duplicating that vein layer in all of your pre-comps. Naturally, after you've adjusted them. I'll then skip ahead until the other cheek is done. Okay gang, we're on the last stretch. All we need to do now is grab all of those 3 pre-comps, go back to our final shot and paste them in. The veins are in and they're animating on. Nice. Our very last step is adding some blur and depth to the veins to make them pop and just blend better. And it's easier than you think. Firstly, let's select our left cheek head to Blur and Sharpen and add Gaussian Blur. Let's give this a value of say 3 and drag it above our corner pin data. We'll then follow that up by heading to Effect, Perspective and grabbing Bevel Alpha. Once again, dragging this above our corner pin data. I'm going to increase the border to say 3.9 and change the angle of the light to 34. You can already see if I turn it on and off the difference it makes. It actually gives our vein a bit of a pop, like it's sticking out of the skin. We can then enhance that by duplicating our left cheek comp and increasing the blur on the bottom layer to around 7. Let's then finish off both layers by changing the transfer mode to soft light. Let's then follow that up by copying those settings onto our neck and then our right cheek and duplicating that right cheek and upping that blur as well. Lastly, I'm going to add the Bevel Alpha effect to our eye veins here, just to make them pop as well. Now gang, whether you add some camera shake and a final color grade to your shot, that's totally up to you. I just thought it added a bit more menace to the shot and made it a bit more jump scary. I just used Magic Bullet Looks and Red Giant Universe for the camera shake, just animating it on when I lifted my head and roared. But once again guys, totally up to you if you want to do that. But for now my friends, that is another effect.
Done. Add up all of those steps and you get something like this. Whatever. Sorry, I ran out of coffee. Damn. Yeah. So guys, that's my take on the Venom face effect from the movie Venom. Now I know it's not 100% screen accurate and that's deliberate. I didn't actually like the effect in the movie, in fact it kinda looked like a Snapchat filter. In this case it felt like less is more. You didn't really need the eyes coming out and curling around, and you didn't need to widen the mouth. As I said, less is more, but if you want to add those effects, go for it, I ain't stopping you. Now since this one was a long one guys, I'm just going to close it out there and say thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please smash that like button, I really do appreciate it. And hey, if you are new here, hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on so you don't miss a single Film Learnin episode. We've got plenty of live streams coming up, we've got 2 other episodes of Film Learnin right over here. You can also check out our Patreon up here, or you might want to just join as a Film Learnin sponsor down below. But until I see you again guys, check out my social media and keep learning.